Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm going to be showing you an incredibly weird deck that just did pretty gosh darn well, top 32, at the regional in Sindelfingen, which, as we talked about before, is a very nice name to pronounce, to be perfectly honest. It is Aerodactyl Gallade. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Aerodactyl Gallade. Hands up if you thought this was going to see a good result at a regional championship this season. Now put your hand down unless you happen to be Vicente Iben. In which case, congratulations, sir. You rock, because that is the lovely person who got top 32 with this deck. Now, if we have a quick look at the main attackers here, we have Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl, for just a double colorless energy, does 120 damage and discards a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And we got a whole bunch of Pokemon running around at the moment, like Zoroark that really relies on double colorless energy, like Buzzwole that really relies on strong energy, and so on and so forth. Lot of Pokemon around using special energy at the moment, so if you can then rock up and start getting rid of those special energy, life will be good. Problem is that Aerodactyl is a very awkward card to play. You can't just play an Aerodactyl. What you have to do is use an old Amber Aerodactyl. It's an item card that lets you look at the bottom 7 cards of your deck. If you find an Aerodactyl there, you put it onto your bench. Cool. Firstly, this makes it kind of annoying to actually use, but secondly, this actually means that you cannot start with it, which is kind of cool in a weird kind of way. Now, the other main attacker is also one with which you cannot start. It is Gallade, but this deck plays no routes. This deck doesn't play any routes, but it does play Gallade, and the way it gets away with that is by using Maxie's Hidden Ball trick. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a card which has had a lot of fun over the years since it came out. It allows you to put a fighting Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench and draw 5 cards. The only catch is that it's got to be the only card in your hand if you do this. So you empty your hand, play this, bring a Gallade from the discard onto your bench. Kinda cool. Now, for just a double colorless energy, Gallade does 130 damage as long as you play the supporter card this turn. It also happens to hit for weakness on Zoroark, that is hands down the best Pokemon in the game at the moment. I mean, it came first, second, and third at this particular regional, so being able to one-hit KO it for just a double colorless energy, yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds alright to me. Not to mention that you've got the Premonition ability here, which says you can just, once during your turn, rearrange the top 5 cards of your deck. Now, there are a whole bunch of support Pokemon here, and the funny thing is that you've got to start with one of these. You are always going to have a suboptimal starter in this deck. There is no optimal starter in this deck. So we've got Oranguru that allows you to draw until you got 3 cards in your hand. And then, of course, you combine this with Premonition, so even if you're only drawing 1 card, you're drawing the best card from the top 5 of your deck, which makes it an awful lot better. We have Unknown here, which just allows you to discard it and draw a card. I mean, you're seeing a bit of a theme here. This is a deck that needs to set up. Either you've got to go the old Amber Aerodactyl route, or you've got to go the Maxie's route. Either way, you're kind of forced into setting up here, or else you've just got a bunch of support Pokemon, and that doesn't go too well. We've got Shaymin EX, draw until you got 6 cards in your hand. Shaymin's been around a little while, seen a bit of play here and there. One Tapu Lele that allows you to search for a supporter, and ideally here, you empty your hand, play a Tapu Lele, and search for Maxie's Hidden Ball trick. And one Sudowoodo, and this is basically to stop Zoroark. It means your opponent can only have 4 bench spots, and this is crucial because it means that Zoroark is then only hitting for a maximum 100 damage, whereas Aerodactyl has 120 HP. Without Sudowoodo, Zoroark could get a one-hit KO on Aerodactyl. With it, they can't. Ha! Now, in terms of energy here, it's just as nerve-wracking as the Pokemon. You're just playing 4 double colorless. Aerodactyl can attack for a double colorless. Gallade can attack for a double colourless, and I suppose so can Tapu Lele and Shaman if it comes down to it. You're just playing 4 double colourless. This means that as well as having Pokemon that are awkward to get out and attack with, you've also only playing 4 special energy, which you're not always going to draw, although you did notice the support Pokemon here were very focused on setting up. So nerve-wracking all round. How are we going to make this work with trainers? We've already seen both Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick and Old Amber Aerodactyl that you need to get your 2 main attackers out. But there's a bunch of other weird cards here that we have to play in order to get this working. How about 4 copies of Order Pad, which weirdly did turn up in the Rampardos Talonflame deck, which I suppose means that Order Pad is the go-to card for really awkward to set up rogue decks. Flip a coin. If heads, put an item card from your deck into your hand. And you could search for an Old Amber Aerodactyl here. Or you could search for a Versus Seeker to get a Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick. Or you could search for an Ultra Ball to empty out your hand and grab yourself a Tapu Lele. We also see Fossil Excavation Kit, another card that we just don't see played very often, although to be fair, it is only a card which is good in fossil decks, and we don't see a huge amount of fossil decks. And what it allows you to do is put 2 in any combination of Helix Fossil Omanyte, Dome Fossil Kabuto, or Old Amber Aerodactyl cards from your discard pile into your hand. So basically, if you're running out of Old Amber Aerodactyl, or even if you're not, as long as you've just got 2 in your discard pile, you can then put both of them back into your hand, and then you're up and rolling. Yay! Helpful to try and get those Aerodactyl out for you here. We also see free Trainer's Mail, because like I keep saying, we just need to get set up here. Trainer's Mail can get your Old Amber Aerodactyl, it can get your Maxi, so you can play it as the only card in your hand, and so on and so forth. Absolutely crucial. Also, it's a card you can just get out of your hand if you really want to, if you need to empty your hand to use Maxis. So there's a nice little bonus. We do see 4 Battle Compressor here, because you need to get Maxis and Gallade into your discard pile, so that you can Versus Seeker for Maxis, or just play a Maxis to get a Gallade, but you got to get them in your discard pile here. And then there's a couple extra little cards. There's a single red card, just to give your opponent a 4-card hand, give a little bit of disruption. Similarly, a single Parallel City to reduce your opponent's bench, to give just a little bit of disruption here. We see 1 Rescue Stretcher to recover these Pokemon. We see 1 Special Charge to recover your special energy. And the full 4 Puzzle of Time, because this is a deck where you're going to need some weird combos. This is a deck where you're going to need to occasionally play a double Puzzle of Time to grab yourself an Ultra Ball and an Order Pad, so that you can empty your hand to use Maxis while trying to use an Old Amber Aerodactyl at the same time. Puzzle of Time helps very nicely here. And of course, your A-Spec of choice is Computer Search, because, well, it's a deck that needs to get set up. And as I've said in a whole bunch of expanded format videos, if you're just trying to set up, you need Computer Search. Here's a list as a whole. It's wonderful, and everything else is pretty much as we would expect. 2 Guzma to bring up bench Pokemon. N and Cynthia are good draw supporter cards. N can also slow down your opponent if they've taken a bunch of prizes. 4 Versus Seeker to reuse these supporters. 4 Ultra Ball, because it's the best Pokemon search we've got. And 2 Floatstone, just to retreat your Pokemon, especially given that, as I've said, you are not going to have a good starting Pokemon in this deck. You want Gallade or Aerodactyl in the active, you ain't starting with either of them, it's impossible. Floatstone is needed to retreat these Pokemon. I adore weird deck lists like this. I love that people would go to a big regional championship and go, you know what? I don't need to play a Zoroark deck. And I don't need to play a Garbodor deck. And I don't want to play Sylveon because nobody has fun playing Sylveon. Nope. I'm going to play Aerodactyl Gallade. And I love even more that they actually went and got a top 32 finish. That fills my heart with joy. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, does it fill your heart with joy? Do you think this is just a gimmick deck? Do you think it's viable? Or do you think this was a one-off? Whatever camp you fit into, I'd like to know. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel and get some bonus podcasts, I'd love it if you did. Head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, and do check out my video game /Dragon Ball Super channel, Wossy Plays, because I think it's good and we're near 1,000 subs, and go on please. But by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.